In my previous video, I talked about video and why it's super important for your MSP, especially if you're looking to communicate better with your clients, your prospects, and maybe even your team. Well, today's video is going to be about how I create videos in my workflows so that way you can learn from me a little bit so that way you're not having to build it yourself. So that's what we're talking about today is kind of what my workflow looks like to help shortcut your path to video success if that's a thing you want to do. My name is Adam Hanneman. Welcome to Ramblings of a Geek. I've been in the MSP space for the better part of a couple of decades. Obviously, I spend some time on video stuff, and I want to share what I've learned to help others use it if that's a thing you guys want to do. Now, not everybody wants to do video stuff. The idea is if you are interested in it or have even a passing interest, hopefully this will help kind of move you down that path a little bit further. Now, like I mentioned before, this is not going to change what my channel is going to be about. My channel is still going to be about helping MSPs. In fact, that's what this video is about. It just happens to be using video. So don't worry about me changing this channel to become, to teach you how to become some sort of a YouTube star. Obviously, I'm not anywhere near a YouTube star, so I don't have any expertise there. But what I do have expertise in is the MSP space and creating some videos. So that's what we're talking about today is what the workflow looks like. So when you think about workflow and creating videos, there's a number of different steps, right? You start at the very top of like trying to come up with a bunch of ideas for videos. Then you write some scripts or write some outlines, then you record them and all those kind of things, right? So let's start at the top and I'll work my way down with how I create videos. So about once a quarter, once a month, somewhere in there, I'll sit down and I'll think about, okay, I have to record videos about these 3 or 4 different topics and these things seem to resonate or not resonate or whatever. And so let's think about what the next set topics should be. And then I kind of write down a list of topics of things that I think will work in the video format. And so I kind of do a real quick cursory, maybe a possible title, certainly the subject of the video, and just kind of like come up with a number of ideas. And then I take one of the ideas, whichever idea I want to start with, and then I will go for a walk. And I use an app called VoicePal, which is really an AI recording transcription app. What I'll do is I'll go for a walk, I will launch VoicePal, and then I'll just talk into the app. And as I talk into the app, it records what I'm saying, and I just talk about kind of literally whatever's on my mind. Lots of times it's a ramble, right? This is why I call my channel Ramblings of a Geek, is because I have a tendency to kind of wander down the path. Well, this app has been a game changer for me where I've been able to, just say what's on my mind and kind of build some thoughts around it. And then I say, okay, I'm done recording, uploads the recording, and comes back and says, here's like 3 or 4 questions about some stuff that you might want to think about. And then I tap on the question I want to answer, and I answer the question. And I do that for a walk. My walks are usually somewhere in that 30 to 60 minute range. And so I will just basically talk at my phone for 30 to 60 minutes, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter, depends on the topic. When that's done, I say, all right, done with this app. And now it's time to output some sort of script outline. And so the script outline then comes from VoicePal itself. So what I do is I in VoicePal, when you set the app up, you can give it some parameters about how you want it to do things for you, right? So for example, one of the things you can do is you can tell it how much it should stick to what you talked about versus how much can it go off and do its own AI related things. I generally keep it pretty close to what I talked about because for the most part, I don't need a ton of AI embellishment. But that said, sometimes it's helpful. And you can actually give it some scripts and stuff that you've done in the past. So if you have any kind of like blog posts or other writings that you've done, you can feed it some of those prompts as a baseline template kind of a thing. Output my recording to a script, and then it gives you a version of a script. A couple things you can do at this point. 1, if you like it, you save it and you move on with it. 2, if you don't like it, you can tell it, hey, I don't like that. Please move these things around. Please add more of this, or please change some of the stuff around, and it'll keep iterating on it for you as long as you want it to do, which is one of the best parts about AI is that it doesn't get frustrated when you say, yeah, I didn't like that, try something else, right? And you can iterate as much as you want. And what I found works really well is I really want to get a solid script outline from VoicePal that it always is going to require some augmentation from me and maybe some other AI related services. But the idea is I want to get something that's pretty good. And what the cool part about VoicePal is that I can ramble about 3 or 4 different pieces throughout my recording, and I can just kind of bounce all over wherever my brain is going. And when it comes out of the app, it goes, here's your stuff in a list in an order that makes sense based on how you described it. And the idea is that it consolidates your different thoughts that so if you're kind of here, there, and everywhere, it puts them together, and you can then you have the opportunity to say, hey, change these sections in order or those kinds of things, which is really kind of cool because it kind of takes a lot of that script writing out, right? So if I think about when I very first started my channel, I was writing every script, and I was writing every line of every script, which for a number of reasons, I'm not a huge fan of that. I'll get back to that here in a minute. But the idea is that I used to write every line, and it would take me hours to write these scripts, which is fine, but I don't have hours of time. And so once I stumbled across VoicePal, I was able to do something I was doing anyway, which is going for walks, and ramble as I go for a walk, and come back with a 70% completed outline of a script, which is plenty good enough for me. It got me way further down the path. So I output the script eventually, and after giving it some direction, then I take it and I bring it into Evernote as an outline, and I kind of massage it a little bit if necessary. Sometimes I'll take that and I'll throw it into ChatGPT and say, this is what my channel is about. This is what I'm trying to convey. Here's my outline. Help me flesh this out. And for the most part, between an iteration or two in VoicePal and an iteration or two with ChatGPT, I then take that script, I sanity check it again, make sure it all makes sense. Usually I make a blog post about these kind of things, so then I write the blog post. I just kind of fill in the pieces throughout the blog post, and then have that for when I post it on the blog, and then I go and record, right? And so I can tell from my videos, I go all here, there, and everywhere for recording. I record at whatever time I happen to have time to record. So as I record this, it's sort of like middle morning. I happen to be up right off the shore of Lake Superior in Wisconsin. My wife and I are up here for a camping trip, and I find places outside that I go record. But maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you say, what, I have a inside studio, or we're going to record at my desk or at the conference room, or wherever you want to record it, at a coffee shop, wherever that happens to be. The next step after you have the outline is to go record the thing, right? And so I take my camera out into the field. I have my microphone attached to my person, which is actually right here, and it's just under my shirt, and I record. And it takes me, for about every minute of output, I probably put 2 minutes of video recording on there, which is me saying things, not liking things, going back and adjusting as we go. What used to happen when I wrote down every single word from my script was that I would be trying to say the script exactly as written, which is fine. You can certainly do that, especially if you have a teleprompter or you want to be word perfect for all those kinds of things. But I found that it would take me a lot longer to record those, and I felt more robotic when I recorded them, and you could tell when I was in the editing process to go, hey, that sounded really bad, right? And it didn't really convey the tone I was trying to convey, because I was trying to say all the different words. I'd get frustrated. I'd talk faster, and I would try to plow through stuff. And if you ever watch some of those videos, you can see when I speed up. That's just me trying to get through that section or whatever. So the idea is that you go out and you record probably more than you need, right? And again, if you're at 2 minutes of recording for every minute of output, you're probably doing just fine. A little more, a little less is totally fine as well. So sometimes I'll get out there and I'll nail a video, and I won't have to do 4 or 5 takes on sections. But the idea is that you go out and you record, and then you're done recording, and you go back and you edit, right? And here's the thing, when you go to edit, there's a couple things that I've learned. Is one, take your time with the edit a little bit. Make sure that you're concise with things, right? I find that I repeat myself throughout the video. Sometimes I'll say the same section a couple different times and maybe a couple different ways. And for the most part, I don't think people really need me to say the same thing 4 or 5 different times. So, I try to kind of cut those things down. But the other piece is I really want to make it a simple edit, right? You could do all of this cool, crazy editing techniques, right? You can have explosions and have all kinds of crazy wipes and pans and zooms in and ins and outs and all this kind of stuff. And I find that, one, it's distracting, and two, I don't think my audience cares about that. Maybe they do, and if they do, maybe you should let me know that. But if you don't, which I kind of don't think you do, and I don't think your audience probably does either, the key is having really solid content delivered well in a package that makes sense. And if you do that, you're doing better than average. Also, as I mentioned in the first video, if I were to have some funds to pay for some of the stuff, I would probably outsource the editing quickly. And the reason for that is just it takes the most time. The other piece of the editing that I like to think about and I really want to nail, if I do anything well in a video, I really want that first 30 seconds to be done really well, because that first 30 seconds seems to be a big deal for keeping people engaged in the content, right? So if I can talk about what we're going to do in the video and get people engaged into it, they're probably going to stick around longer than if I just say, hey, this is my name and this is what I'm going to talk about today and blah, 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 blah. Like those kinds of things don't get people moving forward. So I try to jump right into the content, and you can watch lots of different videos about how that works. And this actually is the thing you want to think about no matter what platform you're using. Of course, this is a YouTube thing in particular, but if you're going to use Instagram or LinkedIn or TikTok or Facebook or wherever you're going to put videos, getting people to pay attention to what you have to say right away is really important. So the first 30 seconds of editing and the first 30 seconds of scripting are really, really important, right? That's probably the only thing I really spend time on, trying to get word perfect or close enough to word perfect when I go ahead and record, because I want that first 30 seconds to not stink. Now, they're not all going to be winners, right? Sometimes they're not great. In fact, I think the first 30 seconds of this video probably could have been better. But at the end of the day, if you watched the first video and you said, I like the concept around using video, and I say, here's the second video, you're probably going to hang out and watch the video. But if I'm going to talk about some other topic and I am not like excited about the topic, or I'm not kind of showing some sort of enthusiasm around it, the likelihood is that the viewer isn't going to watch it either. And that goes for no matter what channel you're talking about, no matter what video medium you're talking about. If there isn't something to engage the audience right away, call it the hook, you're not going to get people to watch. And that's the whole idea, is you want the people to watch. Now, again, because you're recording videos about your business and you want people to pay attention to what you have to say about your business, you don't need 1 million people to watch it. You just need the right 1 or 2 people to watch it that will engage with you on that. So remember that first 30 seconds is really important. The rest of it should be kind of, the script and the outline should be part of what you talk about and is just part of who you are, and you're probably doing fine. We've created the script, we've gone and recorded the video, we've edited the video. Now what do you do with it, right? So this is where you start publishing, right? And so for me, it's pretty straightforward, because I pretty much put it on YouTube. I schedule the video and then I kind of like let it do its thing, right? And doing the video also includes the thumbnail and some other things that you have to do. That's a little bit outside the scope of today's video, but just know that there's plenty of options and ideas around the thumbnails and those kinds of things. And every different video platform has their own like little things you should pay attention to, right? So in YouTube, there's sort of the big three, right? You get the title, you get the thumbnail, and you have the video itself, right? You have those big 3 things locked in, and then the hook is pretty good in your video. You're going to probably do okay, presuming people watch your video. LinkedIn, Instagram, some of those things have a little bit different needs or thoughts around the videos that pop up, because most of them just kind of autoplay. So there's a few different ideas that you want to think about there. And I'm not an Instagram expert, not even a LinkedIn expert. I'm okay at LinkedIn, but not really my favorite thing in the world either. So for where you want to use the videos, that's probably an area where you have to do a little bit of research, because you need to know, again, this is kind of back to target clients and back to understanding the platform that you're going to use. If you do those things well and you know where your target clients are, and your target clients hang out in whatever social media platform or whatever video platform you're aiming at, you want to make sure that you're hitting all of the different marks there to get those people to see your videos. And that means play by the rules of engagement for getting people to pay attention to your videos as well. So congratulations, you've published a video. Now what? Well, a couple things. One, if you're going to do a blog post that goes along with it, get the blog post out there and tie the things together, right? And repurpose that video in a number of different ways. The second thing is, depending on where you're posting content and where you want content to be visible, you can cut things out to make them shorts. You can take bigger sections and maybe make it, put it on maybe if you're doing a YouTube video and you have a blog there and you're doing that kind of thing, and you want to put a piece of that on LinkedIn as its own thing, you can do that. Find a couple different ways to utilize this video that you created because you spent some hours putting it together. Make sure you're getting the most out of it on the back end. Now for me, it's really YouTube and a blog post typically, and then I will routinely cross post the YouTube video on LinkedIn, and that's pretty much where I stop. But again, my target audience is MSPs, and I'm not really selling anything. I'm doing this mostly because I kind of get a kick out of doing this. So this is like my hobby more than anything else. So if I needed to be a business, you better believe I would be doing more things. I would be spending more time on those kind of stuff. But we've already established I have a day job, and I don't have a ton of time nor a ton of inclination to go do a bunch of extra social media stuff when this is sort of a side project just for fun for me. So you need to understand where you should be spending your time and putting your efforts forward. If you figure that out and you do that well, you're gonna succeed with this video stuff because, again, you're showing the humanity side of what you do, and you're able to communicate in a different way with video than you would with text-based communication too. So lean into this. If this is a thing that you have any interest at all in, set yourself a goal, set yourself targets for what you want to go do, go deliver on those things, and then evaluate, was that a good use of my time or not? If it is, then do more of it. And if it's not, evaluate and say, is this the right thing to do? Or should I do something entirely different? Or should I tweak it? Or should I outsource pieces of it, right? Again, outsource the editing or outsource the writing or whatever, right? So lean into this if this is the thing you want to do, and work to get better at it. Because as you get better at it, the whole process gets easier, right? It's far easier for me to go out and record a video today than it was a year ago. And it was easier then than the year previous. So just know that as you do more of this, you get better at it. And so don't be afraid of the first couple of videos too, is get them out, get the recording done, publish it. And the idea is that if you do this well and you do this earnestly, you're going to get the right people to pay attention to you over time. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and put the playlist for this whole video series up there. And over here, I'm going to put a video about prospecting, because a large part of what this is prospecting stuff for you all. And so I want you to think about prospecting as part of this whole concept. Thanks for coming on this ramble with me. I hope to see you on the next one.